The mess hall of Station K-47 was always loud. The clatter of trays, the hum of alien languages, the low drone of reactors buried beneath metal floors. Yet at the farthest corner near the panoramic window, there was always silence. That's where Karen of Thal'ran sat. Every being on the station knew her, or at least they thought they did. She was the daughter of a Thal'ran general, one of the species humanity had fought bitterly for decades before the uneasy truce. Her scaled skin shimmered in hues of blue-green under the artificial lights, her eyes reflecting the void beyond the glass. She ate slowly, precisely alone. No one ever sat beside her. When I, Lieutenant Marcus Hale, human pilot of the 9th Expeditionary Fleet, first saw her, I was on a 6-month refit assignment. The peace treaty between humans and Thal'rans was still fragile, and joint operations were part of the Reconciliation Initiative. The higher-ups wanted to show cooperation. The crews, however, were less enthusiastic. Humans sat with humans, Thal'rans with Thal'rans. The cafeteria, for all its modern decor, still carried the invisible lines of old wars. But one day, after another long session of flight recalibration drills, I walked into the hall, tray in hand, and every seat was full, except the one across from her. The alien girl no one dared to approach. Middle, a simple act. She didn't look up when I approached. Her plate had small, geometric slices of something that looked like crystalline fruit, glowing faintly from bioluminescence. I could feel the other soldiers' eyes on me, whispers rising like static. I didn't care. I was tired of pretending the war still existed in these walls. I set my tray down opposite her and said quietly, "Mind if I sit?" Her fork froze midair. Slowly, she looked up, her slit pupils narrowing slightly, nostrils flaring in what might have been surprise. "No one has asked that before," she said, her voice smooth, musical, and slightly echoed, like two tones playing at once. "Guess I'm a first," I said, smiling. "Marcus Hale. Pilot." She tilted her head. "Karen of Thal'ran, daughter of General Riesachin." A few nearby humans stiffened when they heard the name. Riesachin was a monster in human war stories, the general who ordered the orbital bombardment of Outpost Theta 9. I'd lost friends there, but sitting across from his daughter, I didn't see a monster. I saw someone eating alone, surrounded by people who saw only her bloodline. "Nice to meet you, Karen," I said simply. She blinked, clearly unsure how to respond. "You are not afraid?" she asked. "Should I be?" Her gaze softened, confusion replacing suspicion. "Most humans do not look at me. Even your commanders avoid my presence." "Maybe they're afraid of what they don't understand," I replied, taking a bite of my ration stew. "But fear isn't my thing." She studied me for a long moment, then resumed eating. That was how it started. One meal, one conversation. And it became 2, then 3, then every day. A fragile friendship. Days turned into weeks. She began greeting me first, a small nod, a flicker of her throat scales showing the Thal'ran sign of acknowledgement. I learned that she loved the human sunrise simulation more than the Thal'ran star cycles. She found human music chaotically beautiful, and she despised the way both our species treated her, as a symbol, not as a person. "Do you hate us?" I asked her once. Her gaze lingered on the stars outside. "No. My father hated you." "I do not." I question why we must inherit the hatred of those before us. I smiled. "That's a good question." Sometimes we sat in silence, just watching ships come and go from the hangar decks. Sometimes she'd tell me about Thal'ran rituals, how they believed every soul was a fragment of starlight that yearned to return to the cosmos. One day, She asked if she could see my ship. The hangar, the mark. The hangar was dim, smelling of coolant and engine oil. My fighter, the Skylark, sat gleaming beneath work lights. Karen walked around it slowly, her claws tracing the air near its hull, but never touching.
"It's elegant," she said.
"Like a predator bird." "Fitting name, then," I said. "Built it from scraps during the war." Her eyes lingered on the nose art, a stylized phoenix rising from fire. "What does it mean?" she asked. "Rebirth," I explained. "Humans like to believe we can rise from anything, even ashes." She nodded thoughtfully. Then her eyes fell on my arm. My sleeve had rolled up, revealing an old tattoo, a simple black spiral surrounded by 9 small dots. Her body froze. I frowned. "You okay?" She stepped closer, voice trembling. "That mark, where did you get it?" "It's old. I was stationed on Theta 9. Everyone in my unit had one." Her breath caught. Theta 9. I suddenly understood. Her father's bombardment. The place where her people's attack had turned thousands of humans to ash. "I didn't mean—" I started, but she raised a hand. "I know what happened," she whispered. "I have seen the records. My father believed it necessary. I never did." For a long moment, we just stood there, 2 children of enemies, staring at the invisible line between forgiveness and guilt. Finally, she said softly, "I am sorry." I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw no malice, no arrogance. Just pain. "So am I," I said quietly. That night, we didn't talk much. But something changed between us. The silence wasn't uncomfortable anymore. It was understanding. Middle, whispers of war. But peace is fragile. Tensions were rising again. A Thal'ran raiding fleet had attacked a human supply convoy near the border. The treaty was trembling on the edge of collapse. Everyone on K-47 felt it. Rumors began to swirl. People started avoiding Karen again. Whispers followed her in corridors. Spy, traitor, monster's daughter. One morning, I found her standing outside the mess hall, scales dim, eyes hollow. "They will not allow me inside anymore," she said. I clenched my fists. "Then I'll bring breakfast here." She smiled faintly. "You do not need to fight my battles, Marcus." "Maybe not," I said, "but you shouldn't have to fight them alone." The next few days were tense. Command ordered all human Thal'ran personnel segregated for security review. Karen was confined to her quarters. I was told to cease unnecessary contact. I ignored it. One night, alarm screamed through the station. Red alert. Intruder detected. Multiple Thal'ran energy signatures. I sprinted toward the hangar. My gut told me the truth before I saw it. A Thal'ran infiltration unit had boarded the station, and they were heading straight for Karen's section.
The attack.
I didn't think. I just ran. By the time I reached her corridor, smoke filled the air. A blast had torn through the bulkhead. I saw Karen crouched behind fallen panels, clutching a plasma pistol. 3 Thal'ran soldiers surrounded her, armor gleaming, weapons drawn. "Daughter of the traitor general," one hissed in their native tongue. "Your place is with us, not the humans." "I will not serve murderers," she spat back. They raised their rifles. I fired first. 2 went down instantly. The 3rd turned, roaring, before Karen leapt forward and struck him with her claws. Sparks flew as his armor cracked. The silence afterward was deafening. "You came for me," she whispered, shaking. "Of course I did," I said. "You're my friend." Her throat scales flickered faintly. Thal'ran for gratitude. But before I could say more, a blast rocked the floor. The infiltrators had planted charges near the fusion conduits. The station was minutes from overload. We sprinted toward the hangar. Escape and sacrifice. The corridors burned red with warning lights. Over the comms, command was screaming evacuation orders. When we reached the hangar, chaos reigned, ships scrambling to launch, alarms blaring. My Skylark was still docked. "Get in," I shouted. Karen hesitated. "They will not let me on your craft. I am Thal'ran." "Not today, you're not," I said, grabbing her arm and pulling her into the cockpit. "Buckle up." We launched as the blast doors closed behind us. Through the viewport, Station K-47 bloomed into a brilliant explosion, a dying star against the void. Karen's claws dug into her seat. "So many lives." "Too many," I said quietly. We drifted in silence, the wreckage glowing behind us. Then the comm crackled. "This is Command Vessel Resolute. Identify yourself." "This is Hale," I replied. "Evacuated from K-47. 2 souls aboard." "Copy, Hale. Proceed to docking bay. Be advised, we have standing orders regarding Thal'ran presence." I looked at Karen. She met my gaze, calm but resigned. "They will not let me live," she said softly. "Your people will not forgive what mine have done." I swallowed hard. "Then I'll make them." Ending the seat beside her. The debrief took hours. Command wanted her detained. I refused to hand her over without speaking first. "She fought against them," I argued. "She saved my life. She deserves protection." The Admiral looked unconvinced. "You risked your career, Hale. Maybe your life." "Then that's a price I'll pay," I said firmly. They finally relented. A quiet deal. She'd be transferred to a neutral world, under observation, until things stabilized. Before her departure, we met one last time in the empty mess hall. She sat at her usual corner, looking out at the stars. I walked up and placed a tray across from her, 2 plates, 2 cups. Her lips curved slightly. "You still insist on sitting here?" "Someone's got to keep the seat warm," I said. She reached across the table, her clawed hand brushing mine. "When they ask you why you risked everything," she said softly, "what will you tell them?" I smiled faintly. That I was tired of seeing people eat alone. She looked at me for a long time, then gave a quiet laugh, the first genuine one I'd ever heard from her. When she finally left aboard the neutral transport, I watched her ship disappear into the black. The seat beside me in the mess hall stayed empty for weeks afterward. But sometimes I'd glance at it and imagine her there, eyes bright, voice calm, scales shimmering with the reflection of starlight. And I'd remember that sometimes peace doesn't begin with treaties or admirals. Sometimes it starts with sitting down beside someone who's been alone for too long.